Eden, those were very good words. Hard to follow that act, but the saying goes, someone has to follow Elvis. So with that, good morning, everyone. Thank you to the Madison County Right to Life for inviting me today. I'm deeply honored to be able to stand here and speak to such a fine group of people. I hope that I'll be able to leave you all with a message that you can go out with and you defend this noble movement. My mission is clear: mobilize people, as many as possible, to work to enact pro-life policy. Movements like ours, where we fight every day to spread our message to the electorate, matter more than could ever be described. Ours is a mission of advocacy, of principles, truth, and convictions that do not bend with the culture and new age, but stand firm with what has always been and always will be right. Every generation has a defining moment. The 1770s gave us independence from the tyranny of England. Ordinary, everyday people, such as farmers, blacksmiths, and shopkeepers, led the revolution. These everyday people, like you and me, stood against what at the time was the mightiest empire on earth and declared liberty or death. In 1812, our liberty was once again under attack, and we fought to reaffirm it. In the 1860s, the Civil War forced us to confront the evil of slavery and fight tooth and nail to preserve the Union. In the 20th century, our soldiers fought valiantly in the world wars and stood up for human rights against the horrors of Nazi Germany. In the 1950s, we stood against the threat of communism in the Cold War. In the 1960s, we confronted the hypocrisy of being a nation who proclaims liberty while denying basic civil rights to many of our own citizens. In the 1980s, President Reagan stood bravely and said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." And in the early 2000s, we stood united after the attacks of 9/11. Each generation is tried. History remembers each generation by its response. So once again, I ask you, what will define this generation? There are many important issues in our society, but I'm here today to tell you that there is one defining issue, one that towers above the rest, one that is a matter not of policy, but of morality, one that is a matter of life or death: ending abortion in America. In the 1800s, slavery was the dividing line. It wasn't just a policy issue, it was the issue. Families were ripped apart, the states were divided. A nation was drenched in bloody war because we could not decide whether we truly believed the words, "all men are created equal." And we can see astonishing parallels today. Back then you had the Democrats who said slavery was about property rights. They argued, how dare the government tell us what to do with what is ours. They wanted slavery not only where it existed, but fought to expand it. Their goals have changed, but the message is the same: an attempt to disguise evil under the banner of freedom. They are the ones who defend abortion, not just where it exists, but fight to expand it. We hear again, how dare the government interfere? It is a personal choice. It's my body. And then back then you had the moderate Republicans. People weren't fans of slavery, but they didn't want to get involved. They said, let it stay where it is and let the other states decide. They kept their hands clean while the nation bled. Cowardice was masqueraded as neutrality. Today we still see these moderates as they continue to say, let the states decide, as they step back, stay silent, and avoid the mess. And finally, back then, you had the so-called radical Republicans. They were mocked, attacked, and called extremists. But they had the courage to say, slavery is wrong, morally, fundamentally, undeniably wrong, and it must end everywhere. Not a property issue, a human rights issue. And today there are still those of us who are willing to stand and say what must be said, to stand up even when we are ridiculed, to be called radicals for defending the right to life. Because this isn't just about politics, this is about basic human rights. Our Declaration of Independence proclaims the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is no coincidence that life comes first. From the moment of conception, life begins. And without life, there can be no liberty, no happiness, and no future. And friends, if slavery was America's original sin, then abortion is our second. Abortion means voices silenced, futures stolen, and never being given a chance to breathe, to laugh, to love, to live. We may have overcome one sin, but another has arisen. And this generation must decide, will we confront it or will we cower in silence and stand to the side? History is watching. The future is watching. God is watching. God is asking the question, where are my children? Well, people need to have a right over their own body, but God tells us our body is not our own. He will ask again, where are my children? Well, it's not an issue we can talk to people about. No, where are my children? Well, the baby was conceived in ideal circumstances, Lord, so there had to be an exception. Where are my children? Over 63 million of God's children were slaughtered in the womb during the time of Roe v. Wade. Where are my children? That is the question God continues to ask. So how will this generation be remembered? Will it be like those who defended slavery, who expanded evil? Will it be like those who stayed silent, too afraid to speak? Will it be like the few, the bold, the brave, who stood for what is right when it mattered most? America, this is our moment. This is the page history is writing about us. In my lifetime, I've seen political division, riots, pandemics, and chaos. But none of it compares to this. This is not just a political issue or a cultural issue. It is the greatest human rights crisis the world has ever seen. Mark my words, one day history will call it what it is. Just as we look back on the Holocaust with horror, just as we shudder at the Soviet gulags and the millions who perished under Mao Zedong's bloody regime, abortion will stand taller than all these genocides. One day when our grandchildren look back at our abortion and ask, how could they have allowed this? And when they ask us, what did you do? What will you say? Will you say you were too afraid of the controversy to the point of being unwilling to speak? Or will you say that you stood up, you spoke out, and you defended the voiceless? After the violent events that have been happening in the past few weeks, I decided to add an additional point to my message. If we as a movement go out proclaiming to support the right to life, we must remember that extends further than being pro-life for the unborn. If we look at the assassination of Charlie Kirk in Utah for engaging in civil discourse, or the young lady brutally stabbed to death on public transportation, we can tell that society has lost its value for life. And all this comes back to the issue of abortion. How can we expect people who have been taught that life at its earliest form has no value are going to value the life outside the womb? The world is watching, the Lord is watching. So stand up and speak out to defend life, from the moment of conception to the child on the playground, from the school teacher to the football player, from the cashier at the grocery store to the grandma in the retirement home. Life is precious at every stage, so fight for it. God bless you, God bless the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and may God bless the United States of America.